We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
You're listening to Carousel Sniper Victim, a Dead Glass Design production, with your host, Shaun Jeffery.
Snubbing the official ceremonies for the centenary of the First World War, Bosnian Serbs in eastern Sarajevo held their own, erecting a statue to Gavrilo Princip. Painted by some as a terrorist who triggered the conflict in Europe, Bosnian Serbs consider him a hero, emancipating them from occupation. The competing ceremonies threaten to drown out the message of unity which Bosnia hopes to send to the world after years of bloodshed following the breakup of Yugoslavia during the 1990s.
The first royal visit from Vienna here since 1910. Later this morning they'll make their way into the city itself. There will be some tensions associated with this visit. Just a few minutes into this royal visit and there's already been a major breach of security. What appeared to be a bomb in the direction of the royal car. There was panic in the crowd, of course. Some Austrian officers appear to have been injured. 2 shots have rung out. It's still not clear how badly injured the Archduke and his wife have been.
This could turn into a major crisis.
The whole diplomatic community is trying to assess this.
Here in France, they're worried what the Kaiser's intentions might be.
The mood is the one of shock.
War on this continent is inevitable.
Our journey starts with an extremely promising omen. Here our car burns, and down there they will throw bombs at us. A quote from Archduke Franz Ferdinand on the morning of his death. Like William Shakespeare wrote, some are born great, some achieve greatness, and some have greatness thrust upon them. More often than not, though, history shows us that greatness is seized at gunpoint, or at least through some act of violence. In the case of the assassins from the Black Hand and young Serbian and young Bosnian movements, they needed a decent amount of luck too. Had the cards of history not been dealt in the order they were that day, the future of humanity may have turned out very differently than it has today. Ever heard of Gavrilo Princip? Most people haven't, but some consider him one of the most pivotal individuals in the events that would lead up to the deaths of 17 million plus people in what would become known as the Great War, the war to end all wars. But then we had the sequel, so that wasn't really an apt name for what we now call World War I. Gavrilo Princip was born in a remote hamlet named Oldblaj near Bosanska Grahovo on the 25th of July, 1894. He was the second of his parents' 9 children, 6 of whom died in infancy. Princip's mother wanted to name him after her late brother, but he was named Gavrilo at the insistence of a local Eastern Orthodox priest, who claimed that naming the sickly infant after the Archangel Gabriel would help him survive. A Serb family, the Princips had lived in northwestern Bosnia for many centuries and adhered to the Serbian Orthodox Christian faith. Princip's parents were poor farmers who lived off the little land that they owned. They belonged to a class of Christian peasants known as kmiets, or serfs, who were often oppressed by their Muslim landlords. Gavrilo's father, who insisted on, quote, strict correctness, end quote, never drank or swore, and was ridiculed by his neighbours as a result. Despite his father's opposition, Gavrilo first began attending primary school in 1903, aged 9. He overcame a difficult first year and became very successful in his studies. for which he was awarded a collection of Serbian epic poetry by his headmaster. At the age of 13, Gavrilo moved to Sarajevo, where his older brother, Jovan, intended to enroll him into an Austro-Hungarian military school. By the time Gavrilo reached Sarajevo, Jovan had changed his mind, after a friend advised him to not, quote, make Gavrilo an executioner of his own people, end quote. Gavrilo was enrolled into a merchant school instead. Jovan paid for his tuition with the money he had earned performing manual labour, carrying logs from the forest surrounding Sarajevo to mills within the city. In 1910, Gavrilo came to revere Bogdan Zerić, a Bosnian Serb revolutionary who attempted to assassinate the Austro-Hungarian governor of Bosnia and Herzegovina before taking his own life. In 1911, Gavrilo joined Young Bosnian, a society that wanted to separate Bosnia from Austria-Hungary and unite it with the neighbouring kingdom of Serbia. Because the local authorities had forbidden students from forming organisations and clubs, Gavrilo and other members of Young Bosnia met in secret. During their meetings, they discussed literature, ethics, and politics. In 1912, Gavrilo was expelled from school for being involved in a demonstration against Austro-Hungarian authorities. A student who witnessed the incident claimed that, quote, Princip went from class to class, threatening with his knuckle duster all the boys who wavered in coming to the new demonstrations, end quote. Gavrilo left Sarajevo shortly after being expelled and made the 280-kilometre or 170-mile journey to Belgrade on foot. According to one account, he fell to his knees and kissed the ground upon crossing the border into Serbia. In Belgrade, Gavrilo volunteered to join the Serbian guerrilla bands fighting the Ottoman Turks, under the leadership of one Major Tankosic. Tankosic was a member of the Black Hand, the foremost conspiratorial society in Serbia at the time. The Black Hand took over the terrorist actions of Narodna Odbrana, the National Defense. Black Hand members held important army and government positions, and members were sworn in as such. By entering into the society, I do hereby swear by the sun which shineth upon me, by the earth which feedeth me, by God, by the blood of my forefathers, by my honour and by my life, that from this moment onward and until my death, I shall faithfully serve the task of this organisation, and that I shall at all times be prepared to bear for it any sacrifice. I further swear by God, by my honour and by my life, that I shall unconditionally carry into effect all its orders and commands. I further swear by my God, by my honour and by my life, that I shall keep within myself all the secrets of this organisation, and carry them with me into my grave. May God and my brothers in this organisation be my judge if at any time I should wittingly fail or break this oath. So it would seem that Gavrilo Princip had found just the sort of people he'd been looking for. People willing to enact the sort of change he wanted to see in his Serbian homeland. On the 28th of June, 1914, Gavrilo Princip participated in the assassination in Sarajevo of the Austrian Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife, Duchess Sophie Schottek of Austria. The Archduke was the heir apparent to the throne of Austria-Hungary, basically the next in line to rule. The Emperor of Austria-Hungary, Emperor Franz Joseph, was the Archduke's uncle. He told his nephew, the Archduke, to oversee military training in Bosnia. Franz Ferdinand knew that the visit would be dangerous. His uncle, Emperor Franz Joseph, had been the subject of an assassination attempt by the Black Hand in 1911. Just before 10 a.m. on Sunday, the royal couple arrived in Sarajevo by train. The royal couple were then to take an automobile into the city. In the front car was the mayor of Sarajevo and Dr. Edmund Gerdi, the city's commissioner of police. The Archduke Franz Ferdinand and his wife Sophie were in the second car with Oskar Poiterek and Lieutenant Colonel Count Franz von Harrach. The car's top was rolled back in order to allow the crowds a good view of its occupants. The 6 conspirators, which had been jointly organised, trained and equipped by the Black Hand and Young Bosnian groups, lined the route. They were spaced out along the Apple Quay, each one with instructions to kill Franz Ferdinand when the royal car reached his position. The first conspirator on the route to see the royal car was Muhammad Mehmedassi. Standing by the Austro-Hungarian bank, Muhammad lost his nerve and allowed the car to pass without taking action. Muhammad later said that a policeman was standing behind him and he feared he would be arrested before he had a chance to throw his bomb. At 10:15 a.m, when the 6-car procession passed the central police station, 19-year-old student Nedeljko Kabrinovic hurled a hand grenade at the Archduke's car. The driver accelerated when he saw the object flying towards the car. The bomb also had a 10-second delay, and it exploded under the wheels of the 4th car. 2 of the occupants were seriously wounded. About a dozen spectators were also hit by bomb shrapnel. After Kabrinovic's bomb missed the car, 5 other conspirators, including Gavrilo, lost an opportunity to attack because of the heavy crowds and the car's high speed. To avoid capture, Kabrinovic swallowed a cyanide capsule and jumped into the Miljacka River to make sure that he died. However, the cyanide pill was decayed and only made him sick and vomit, and the river that he jumped into, only about 10 centimetres or 4 inches deep. He was soon hauled out and detained by the police. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, having survived his close shave with the assassins of the Black Hand, now decided to go to the hospital and visit the victims of Kabrinovic's grenade attack. In order to avoid the city centre, the general in charge of the Archduke's motorcade decided that the royal car should travel straight along the Apple Quay to the Sarajevo hospital. However, he forgot to inform the driver of the Archduke's car, Leopold Leugh, about this change of plans. On the way to the hospital, Leugh took a right turn into Franz Josef Street, which was the correct turn for the original route, but not for the new altered one. Gavrilo Princip was standing near Moritz Schiller's cafe, contemplating his misfortune and the wasted attempt on the Archduke's life, when he spotted the car as it drove past. Having taken the wrong turn and realising the mistake, the driver put his foot on the brake and began to reverse. In doing so, the engine stalled and the gears locked, giving Princip his opportunity. Gavrilo Princip stepped forward, drew his pistol, an FN model 1910, and at a distance of about 1.5 metres, 5 feet, he fired twice into the car, first hitting Franz Ferdinand in the neck, and then hitting his wife Sophie in the abdomen as she covered his body. The Archduke's final words were recorded by those closest to him. He said, "Sophie, Sophie, don't die. Live for our children." He then uttered 6 or 7 times, "It is nothing." They both died before 11 a.m. Gavrilo Princip too attempted suicide with the cyanide pill, but it also was out of date. Seems like the assassins got a dodgy batch of cyanide. He then tried to shoot himself, but the pistol was wrestled from his hand before he had the chance to fire another shot. Princip was 19 years old at the time, and too young to receive the death penalty, being 27 days short of the 20-year minimum age required by Habsburg law. Instead, he received the maximum sentence of 20 years in prison. He was held in harsh conditions and contracted tuberculosis. He died on the 28th of April 1918 at Terezin, 3 years and 10 months after the assassination. At the time of his death, weakened by malnutrition and disease, he weighed around 40 kilograms, or 88 pounds. His body had become racked by skeletal tuberculosis that ate away his bones so badly that his right arm had to be amputated. Fearing his bones might become relics for Slavic nationalists, Princip's prison guards secretly took the body to an unmarked grave, but a Czech soldier assigned to the burial remembered the location, and in 1920, Gavrilo Princip and the other, quote, heroes of the Vidovdan were exhumed and brought to Sarajevo, where they were buried together beneath a chapel, quote, built to commemorate for eternity our Serb heroes, end quote, at St. Mark's Cemetery. Princip's pistol was confiscated by the authorities and eventually given, along with the Archduke's bloody undershirt, to Anton Puntigam, a Jesuit priest who was a close friend of the Archduke and had given the Archduke and his wife their last rites. The pistol and the shirt remained in the possession of the Austrian Jesuits until they were offered on long-term loan to the Museum of Military History in Vienna in 2004. It is now part of the permanent exhibition there. The house where Gavrilo Princip lived in Sarajevo was destroyed during World War I. After the war, it was rebuilt as a museum in the Kingdom of Yugoslavia. Yugoslavia was conquered by Germany in 1941, and Sarajevo became part of the independent state of Croatia. The Croatian Utasti destroyed the house again. After the establishment of communist Yugoslavia in 1944, the house of Gavrilo Princip became a museum again, and there was another museum dedicated to him within the city of Sarajevo. During the Yugoslav War of the 1990s, the house of Gavrilo Princip was destroyed a third time, and rebuilt for the third time in 2015. Prior to 1992, the site on the pavement on which Princip stood to fire the fatal shots was marked by embossed footprints. These were destroyed as a consequence of the 1992-95 war in Bosnia. There is still a plaque in front of the museum at the spot where Gavrilo Princip stood when he fired the shots. Although Gavrilo couldn't have known how far-reaching the ramifications of his actions that day would go, he unwittingly set in motion a series of events that would bring about the loss of 17 million plus lives. His gunshots would echo around the world for years. What people thought was just another Baltic killing, Slavs killing their oppressors, etc., etc., was really the spark that would ignite the powder keg that was World War I. Russia would come to the aid of Serbia. Germany would side with the Austro-Hungarian Empire. This would bring in Britain and France too. And the weird thing about all of that is the ruler of Great Britain, King George V, the ruler of Germany, Kaiser Wilhelm II, and the ruler of Russia, Tsar Nicholas II, are all cousins. They've all got the same granny. Wouldn't she be proud? Just goes to show, families shouldn't discuss politics. Politics or religion. Perfect examples.
Hello, my dear old friend. Good to see your face again. How is your little cell? And do they treat you well? The last time that we met, your blood was running hot. Your handshake, it was fine. You were happy, then you're not. Gavrilo, you're mine. The silver bullet would not miss. There was a poison in that kiss. Come on, come on, come on. Take my hand, Gavrilo. Tell me how it feels to see it all revealed, to see the world aflame, a curse upon your name, machines that never quit, obscenity and sin. I hope you will permit this crooked little grin, no matter how your good book reads. In the beginning was the day. Come on, come on, come on. Take my hand, Gavrilo. the people here all look the same. The angel Gavrilo appeared. They got his message loud and clear. And now they're on their knees, crying, Father, please. They wallow in disease and sing in minor keys. No matter how your good book reads, in the beginning was the day. Come on, come on, come on. Take my hand, Gavrilo.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Carousel Sniper Victim, a Dead Glass Design production.